the Fan3Cast, dishing out the hottest NASCAR news and views while celebrating the Three's historic comeback. Here are your hosts, Michael Metzger and Jason Schultz.
Who said Jeff Gordon was going to retire after this season? He captured his 89th career win this past weekend at the Kansas Speedway and is definitely making a lot of noise to indicate that he'll be here for next year and possibly the year beyond.
If he continues the success he's having this season, then I don't think there's any doubt that he'll be still in the Sprint Cup Series for the next 2 years. And his performance on Saturday night definitely proved what a lot of people thought he could do, and he proved what he still can do behind the wheel of a race car.
He has 16 more wins to get to David Pearson's 105 for second all-time in the Sprint Cup Series. Do you think he could make it 16 more wins in the next couple of years, or however long he plans on racing?
I think that's a little tight of a window. He'll be probably, I would say, maybe, I don't know. I don't think he'll make it to the David Pearson, but he'll probably get at least 5 more wins in his career, I'd say.
He hasn't shown too much as of late to show consistency when it comes to winning. Race here, race there. So I'm kind of with you. I don't think he makes it to 105. He could probably make it to about 95. I'd say that's 6 more wins. But that's probably about as high as Jeff Gordon's probably going to hit.
And Jeff Gordon had a good night on Saturday night, but there was another driver who has yet to win Sprint Cup Series race, but was very closer than she's ever been before in the 5-hour NJ 400, and that's at she. So it's Danica Patrick, who had a really commanding performance on Saturday. She was not leading laps, but she was out to third at one point, really giving to the other guys. They were really racing hard, and she was able to pass them. And she said that she enjoyed when she passed Jimmy Johnson on the outside because he's your 6-time champion. She's the driver in her second season in her career. So it was definitely a good night for Danica, and she took a lot of confidence away from the race.
That was her second career top 10 finish. Jason, do you remember when her first career top 10 finish happened?
Oh, yes. It was the 2013 Daytona 500.
I think a lot of credit has to go to Kevin Harvick, the new member of the Stewart-Haas racing team. He and Danica have kind of bonded this season, and I know I read a lot over the weekend about he basically just told her to stop overthinking and then just drive. You know, not worry so much about the technical aspects, just go out there and just do what you got to do, and I think that's really paid off at Kansas, and I think her confidence getting up is going to help her a lot, and I think just being able to soak in the information from Kevin Harvick will help her a lot too. My only question with that is, you have Tony Stewart there, you had Ryan Newman a year prior, and you have Kurt Busch, but it seems like only Harvick's been able to get through to Danica, so I wonder if it's just maybe a personality thing, or I don't know what it could be.
I'd say probably a little bit of a personality thing, but it could also be Kevin Harvick's adorable son, Keelan Harvick, who has been spotted many times with Danica Patrick. He was wearing a Danica Digsby shirt, I believe, before Talladega. There was a line Zelina Harvick posted over the weekend where she asked Keelan what he would say to Danica when they see each other, and Keelan responded, 2-year-old responded, "Hey, baby," when he sees Danica. So it's probably, I would say, a little more Keelan Harvick, maybe, making those two become great friends.
Now, I got to say, with Kurt Busch, his performance on the Sprint Cup Series has suffered as of late, but on the IndyCar Series, he has been fast in their testing for the beginning of this month. I'm almost wondering, with him running the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600, if maybe the preparation for the 500 is taking away from his Sprint Cup Series effort.
Yeah, he's definitely been finishing lower than I think he's used to or we're used to seeing out of him, but now that he has the one win from Martinsville, I think it doesn't really matter as much as what he's doing right now, but if he continues to not perform as well, then I think he'll definitely raise some questions. And once the Indy 500 is over, I think he's really got to step up his game if he really is still in danger of falling outside the top 30, which would prevent him from making a chase for the win. then.
Yeah, he definitely has to keep in that top 30 to not have to worry about that. And great break for Parker Kligerman, who will be his backup driver for the next couple of weekends, just in case Kurt can't make it back in time to practice his car, qualify, or even race it. So, good things are happening for Kligerman, because this at least gets his name out there to potentially get another ride. Now, on to the TV broadcast, where, Jason, you gotta forgive me, I didn't actually get the chance to watch the race, and due to a malfunction with my DVR, the race got erased on me. I love Time Warner so very much. But anyways, so you have to fill me in on what I'm dubbing right now is Lightning Gate.
Oh, yes. May had not been that big of a deal to many people, but I definitely saw some people on Twitter really complaining and really noticing that the lightning delayed start race, which is about a half hour when storms were supposed to roll through the Kansas City area, and they never did. A little sprinkle on the track, but that was just about it, and drivers weren't really sure what to do. Some sat in their cars, some just stood around. There wasn't really anything to do. So, and then that goes into the race broadcast, because the cameraman came down from up above the track, and then talked about two different camera angles or three, and they just kept going back and forth, and they didn't really have anything to say. It was just a little bit of an awkward half hour. It seemed like that they were just they ran out of things to say, and they probably didn't prepare for the lightning delay or even a rain delay, because the weather looked pretty good going into the race.
That's really weird for you to say, because someone like Darrell Waltrip, who I swear sometimes just likes to hear himself talk, I can't imagine him not having something to talk about, maybe relating the lightning back to Danica Patrick or Dalinger Jr. or any one of his 84 career wins.
He actually was the one that, when the 5-second awkward pause happened, he was the one that usually talked after that. And I forget what he brought up, but it may have been Danica. I don't remember.
Surprised he wasn't plugging 5-Hour Energy and Napa and all that stuff. Oops, I guess not Napa. Can't talk about that.
The race was on Fox, and just noting quickly that the Fox portion of the season is almost coming to a close, and this all somehow ties into Fox Sports 1 hosting the All-Star race this weekend. It'll be, I think, the third or fourth year that the race is not on Fox, but it's on Speed or Fox Sports 1. And ever since that started, I never really thought it was the greatest move, because not a ton of people get Fox Sports 1 or Speed when it was around, and then it probably takes a hit in viewers when they switch to Fox Sports 1. So I was always really confused by why they did this. It was probably a little promotion for Speed then, now Fox Sports 1, but it's just confusing me as why they have been doing this. I know Fox Sports 1 definitely has a lot less viewers than Fox does, so I would think it would make more sense to put it on Fox, but teams have been working at Fox Sports 1 if they haven't changed it after the last 2 years.
I've been thinking about this a lot as of late, just Fox Sports 1 in general. I do have to say, kudos to Fox for the amount of NASCAR programming they still do put on the air for Fox Sports 1. I really thought that was going to take a hit, but it seems like they have pretty much 80% of all the practices are shown. You get the Truck Series and the Nationwide Series falling through the cracks. So that's going to happen being the lesser series, but with the All-Star race, I'm with you in the beginning. I didn't even watch the All-Star race because I didn't even want to take the time to try to figure out where Speed or Fox Sports 1 is. But I think that we're going to see, with this new television package kicking in next year, a lot more of the races turning to Fox Sports 1 for coverage as opposed to being on Fox. You would think that you'd want your All-Star race on Fox so more people would watch it and it's a special event, but at the same time, I think it's just the beginning of a transition for next season. And it's been going on for a few years, and you see it with the Shootout as well, or the Sprint Unlimited as well. But it's the wave of the future, and unfortunately, I think that's the direction that they're going to go starting next year.
Yeah, it's definitely confusing, because Fox Sports 1 has probably a lot less viewers than Fox did. So why they would want to move the races from that, I don't know. I bet it makes more money to have more viewers. So it's just, I think it's an overall confusing situation.
Well, I think they're just going to try to get more viewers by putting more programming that people want to watch on there. And in this case, it's going to be NASCAR coverage.
And that would probably be the only logical reason we can come up with. This We have two more fan questions this week. They actually were submitted last week, but we're going to use them right now. And the first one comes from Mr._NASCAR Fan 20. And he asks if we think NASCAR should keep its season finale at Homestead or move it to another facility.
I would vote move it to another facility. I would actually go one step further, and I would like to see them actually rotate where the finale is, especially with the new point structure. You're stuck with a shootout at the end of the year between 4 drivers. Why not have it so you're not at the same track every time that maybe one driver is better than the next driver at? If you keep it rotating around, people stay on their toes, and I think gives a lot more chances to other people. But if you're going to plug it into one place going forward, Las Vegas makes the most sense because you could just turn right around and do the banquet right afterwards. So that would be my vote.
I agree with you. I was going to say, I believe they should rotate it through tracks like the Super Bowl. That isn't at one stadium every year. It's rotated, and different stadiums usually bid on to get the game. And then I think NASCAR, if they do something similar with having maybe different tracks bid on getting the finale, or deciding which tracks they think will work best for the finale, and just switching it up every year. Because if Jimmy Johnson just say he was great at Homestead, which he's not typically great, but if he was, then we go race at Homestead for the finale every year. He's usually in the Final Four, and he's going to win the championships because he's good at Homestead, not really because of any other reason. So pushing it up, I think definitely the place NASCAR wants to head, and the schedule change that they should be making in the near future.
How could you imagine if they ended it like Daytona? Wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be crazy, but I think it would be probably some of the most exciting thing that's happened in NASCAR in quite some time.
Hey, that's certainly Florida is going to still be kind of nice in November, so it's not out of the question.
Definitely is. We have a second question it's a pretty fun question from Danny D513. He asked if Kevin Harvick could fight any driver in NASCAR history, who would it be?
See, I was torn on this. Is he just getting out of the car and throwing down, or are you fighting for a win?
I don't know. I thought I interpreted it as fighting the punches being thrown because it came after the week after the Casey Mears. Soon after the Casey Mears Marcus Ambrose won. So let's go with that because I think that adds a little more fun twist to it.
I'm going to have to defer to you first because I got to think about this for a second. I was prepared to go the other way.
In NASCAR history, I don't even really know one specific driver from the olden days that he would fight, but if he could fight any driver in NASCAR right now, if he could probably punch any driver in the face of NASCAR right now, sadly I'd have to say it would be Kyle Busch. They have not gotten along probably ever, and they probably won't be getting along anytime soon.
I guess I would have to reach into the old-timey bag, and I'd pick Jimmy Spencer out because I think that would be a good heavyweight battle between the two of them. Well, I should say heavyweight on Spencer's side more so than Harvick, but both of them really have chippy personalities, and it would be interesting to see them go at it. I do have to say, I thought about this question more so in a little different direction. I would have loved to have seen Kevin Harvick and Dale Earnhardt race at the end of a race, bumping and banging, the Intimidator versus Harvick, just to see how they would react to each other and race. Would have been great to see.
It definitely would have been. Now we're going to move into our power rankings, which we do have two similar drivers again this week. We haven't had the same drivers in a while, but this week we both have Jeff Gordon topping our standings after his win at Kansas. He definitely proved he's probably the strongest driver right now, and I have Kevin Harvick in second as he has another strong performance, and he's just getting better and better, and he's just, I think, building up, probably getting another win or two in the near future. And I have Joey Logano third, who had another really decent performance at Kansas. He finished top 5, I believe, and he's just been up with Harvick as he's got his 2 wins, and he's just ranked consistently just every week.
I agree with you with Jeff Gordon. Hard to imagine him not being on the top of the rankings, especially finally getting that win that's been holding him back in some people's minds. Harvick, dominating performance at Kansas, just came up short. And I have Jimmy Johnson up there as well. I think the 48 Lowe's team is just starting to get their groove together, and especially going to a track like Charlotte where he's dominated in the past, I think it's time for him to turn up the wick.
Coming up this weekend, we are Charlotte Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Sprint All-Star Race, which is always one of the most hyped up events of the year, and it definitely can get exciting as it's been in the past. And one of the big moves this year is the Sprint Showdown, which drivers race in to get to the All-Star Race. It's moved to Friday, and that's definitely different. I usually enjoy seeing the Showdown on before the All-Star Race, and like a heat race prior to the main event, like that kind of dirt track style thing. I enjoy seeing that. Two races really close to each other in time, and I'm not a fan of the move to Friday. I think it gives the Friday drivers somewhat of a slight advantage. They're gonna be able to get like a 40-lap heat race, and then they get to rest and think about all that coming to Saturday night when they could easily do well because they already know how the car's gonna react to the track and those kind of things. So I'm not a fan for it, but the move was because the Charlotte Motor Speedway wanted to get more people out of the track on Friday night, and I think it's going to work. But I really did like it on the Saturday night leading up to the race.
I agree with you 100%. It's just a ratings grab by NASCAR and the Charlotte Motor Speedway to get more people out on Friday. I couldn't said it any better. I love the idea of these drivers battling, especially back when it was only one guy would transfer. They would battle tooth and nail, and then their reward is they could keep racing that night. Now, I don't know. It's just a different feel. And honestly, it kind of goes into our next point of, for me, the All-Star Race honestly means nothing. I rarely pay attention to it. Thank you, Jason, for writing the race recaps. Otherwise, I wouldn't honestly know what happens. I would love to see the All-Star Race become something completely different. Go 180 degrees different. And I'm going to take my kind of template from the Denny Hamlin Short Track Challenge, I think it was called, that they ran a couple weeks ago at the South Boston Speedway. Take your all-star drivers, put them into cars that aren't Sprint Cup cars, maybe IROC-esque spec cars that everything is equal between them. Put them on a little bull ring and put on a show there, because as Bob Pockrass of the Sporting News pointed out on Monday, every week's technically an all-star race for these drivers running with each other. There's nothing more different about this race than what you'll see next weekend at the Coke 600, except for the length of the race. So I think they should just scrap it and turn it into something completely different from the normal to re-energize it and get more people out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely probably draw out something completely new for this race would probably make it a little more exciting. I know the last year, I remember, the first year All-Star Race, I remember watching this 2005, and that involved Joe Nemechek and Kevin Harvick getting to the fight after the giant wreck and Mark Martin winning the race. It was such a great race and exciting. And the Sprint Showdown, which was right before I had Brian Vickers getting Mike Bliss to get into the All-Star Race. So that was excitement, but last year Jimmy Johnson dominating the whole race, and the whole averages thing to get on pit road for the last segment. I think it's just too much. If we just go simple and maybe revert back to the days when we had the inversion and just making the whole entire event more exciting, it's going to benefit NASCAR more than this will, and probably get more people interested in the race again.
I always struggle with the format changing on a yearly basis because they didn't like what happened the last year. And we even saw this year the team of H. Scott Motorsports is skipping it completely because they would rather keep their resources towards the 600, which pays points, as opposed to this race, which barely pays anything in purse, and there's no guarantee of going to the All-Star event.
One thing NASCAR and Sprint were doing this week was putting out some posters for the drivers that are in the top 10 in the fan vote, and they were very artistic, but they were a little, crazy out there. And based off the pictures, if I had to vote for a driver, I'd probably vote for Danica Patrick, but that might be a little biased.
Yeah, I would almost vote for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because he looked like Walker Texas Ranger in his little getup. I know what Sprint's going for, I know what NASCAR's going for with these, but they were just so ridiculous. I can't imagine anyone created them with a straight face, and that was their best art that they could do. I don't know. It was over the top, and gosh, it was kind of annoying when it flooded my timeline on Twitter.
Well, we are moving on to the two races this weekend, and we're two races, meaning one on Friday with a showdown, one on Saturday, Sprint Cup. Saturday, it was All-Star Race. And that means we can pick probably three different drivers. In the showdown, we can pick two to move on, and All-Star Race, we can pick one to take $1 million. My two showdown drivers are going to be and they seem to be the two probably strongest drivers in that race, and I could definitely see them competing for the two advancing positions at the end of the night. And my all-star pick is going to be Kevin Harvick. I think he'll be tough to beat, and Ronnie Childers is just the mastermind of strategy, and that race is all about strategy. So I definitely think that number 14 is really going to excel, and probably take the million on Saturday night.
I also will go with Clint Boyer as one of the spots in the showdown, and I'm going to go with Austin Dillon sneaking in there, bringing the 3 into the All-Star event the first time since 2000, and I'm going to go with the 3-peat for the 6-time champion Jimmy Johnson. 3-peat as in 3 straight All-Star race wins, and I believe it would be his 6th overall if he should capture it.
It's definitely going to be a really fun night, and probably some sparks will be flying by the time the race nears its finish.
Thanks for listening to the Fan3Cast. For more NASCAR coverage, check out StartingParkBlog.com and Turn4RacingNews.com. Follow along on Twitter at Fan3Cast, at StartingParkBlog, and at NASCARJason.